All right, this is Elizabeth with BabbleBetter, and I'm here working at a preschool, and we're talking with one of the teachers about what they're seeing nowadays. So here we go. So what are you seeing, and what are you noticing, and what should we talk
What
about
we're seeing and what we're
for the
noticing
parents
with
to know?
children these days that are enrolling in the center from 2 up to like 4 years right now, particularly over the last year and a half, 2-year-olds coming in with an extremely limited vocabulary or a void of any type of speech. And in addition to that, we're seeing a lot of attention issues. We're seeing a lot of behavioral issues that are going along with the delayed speech. When I say behavioral issues, I'm meaning things like a child coming in and just randomly running through a classroom, going up and touching items, handling things without any real purpose behind what they're doing. More of random, just because there's an item there to touch and handle and move on to something else.
You were saying like a pinball?
They're
like the ball?
They literally are like a ball in a pinball machine, bouncing off of things. Even other children, they'll be jumping over chairs. They won't be utilizing things with purpose or meaning,
or like how it's meant to be used,
or how it's meant to be used. I mean, there are things that we can be imaginative about and turn things into other things. But it's void of any of that. I mean, it literally is like watching a ball in a pinball machine as they bounce off from item to item to item. They're having their attention is almost non-existent. They cannot take redirection.
Well, and they're not. Direction. You're saying that the language is really low, right?
The language is low. Before COVID, CDC had said that most 2-year-olds should be able to have 300 words by the time they're 2. Since COVID, they have reduced that number from 300 down to 200 words.
And no speech pathologist was on that.
No,
was on that panel.
No,
and the speech and language specialists. We have a master's degree in this.
And this is the problem.
They had doctors.
And this
why no speech pathologists? But they still have reduced it.
It's unimaginable why we continue to have government facilitators and people that are deeming what is acceptable for our children when they don't have the skills or the training to make these judgments and
then you guys are having to deal with
and
these
now we're dealing
ones
with 2-year-olds that are coming in, and a lot of them don't have any language. And the other thing is they're seeing a pediatrician, and the pediatrician isn't saying anything. They're working with a 2-year-old, and the 2-year-old is nonverbal, and their attitude is, they need to just give them more time.
I hate the wait it out.
Yeah, let's wait
it out.
And everybody knows that early intervention is essential to have any kind of positive impact on a child.
Yes.
I'm always telling parents, I'm finding that I'm having to do what a pediatrician should be doing. And I'm having that hard conversation with the parent. And, and having them, I'm watching them try to process what I'm telling them. And like any situation, it's almost like you're watching them walk through the 7 stages of mourning.
Yeah,
because they can't accept it.
They want their babies to be the highest level possible, and then you're telling them.
So again, we're looking at delays, and some of these behaviors will start to manifest themselves before they're 2 years old.
Before they're 2,
and
right?
And the pediatrician will see that, and the pediatrician is not saying anything. And what I'm having to do,
a lot of times they're seeing them only for 1 minute, and what are they going to really see?
Right. And the other thing is that and they lag on getting you in touch with proper resources. Whereas if you would go to a specialist who does developmental pediatrics, he will get you in touch with the proper resources, at a more expeditious rate and get that early intervention going and started.
Well, that's one of the things I put up there a lot, like the regional center here in California and like all the other so many different states, but they don't call it the same thing. No. That's one thing I noticed. Like I've had people on TikTok actually contact me, and I looked it up for them, because I know kind of what to look up. Right.
In a different city, in a different state.
Well, it's different state is the name for the overall like the
program,
program and then you look up the city for them under that program. Right. But just getting the name of the program, like 0 to 3, you have to put in 0 to 3 and something, and it has to say state because there's so many other things that are paid that aren't the free government program.
Right. And there's a tremendous amount of resources out there. I mean, it's that are free. I can't believe that these parents, yes. And I can't, you have to be an advocate for your child. And you can't be an advocate for your child if you don't know,
if you don't have the information,
what is going on. You don't have the proper information.
That's one of the things I'm trying to do with my TikTok and my YouTube and all of that stuff is like get the information to the families, because the earlier you address it, the earlier you're able to give the ideas and give the help, and then we'll build the skills so they're not going to be as delayed when they get to you, and they won't be as delayed when they get to school, so they'll be more prepared to be successful.
And the most important thing is we really want them to be kindergarten ready. We want everybody to be on the same footing. Exactly. And also, at 3 years old too, if you are in a school district, I know here in California, if you are in a school district, living in a specific school district, you can go to the district if your child's 3 years old and experiencing certain delays and so forth, and say, I want to have an official assessment done by your district. I am in your district. You by law have to do an assessment. Absolutely. And then what they do is they do an assessment, and they already have an IEP, an individual educational program in place for your child by the time they get to kindergarten. It's not a blemish on the child. It's that we know that this child came in with these delays, and this is something that we can move forward with and make sure that programs and resources are in place for this child and hit the ground running from kindergarten.
Well, and if they're in the program, like seeing me ahead of time, and I tell all of my parents that if you're seeing me and we have speech therapy services 15 months all the way up to the day before they turn 3 through my program, if they have that already in place, it gets them into that
assessment evaluation with the school districts
immediately.
Yes.
It's not even not even like you have to go to the district. It's like the person that set you up with my program connects you with the people at the district.
Yes.
Usually.
And it goes quickly.
And you get in quicker.
And you get the resources.
And you get the resources that you need.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
See, it's not just me. Other people know it too and say it and tell everyone else too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is going to be a part of society that we're going to be dealing with, and we're going to have to address as a society, because these are behaviors and delays that are going to affect these children through their formal school years. And if we get that early intervention, then it doesn't have to go beyond that. It doesn't have to go beyond the elementary school years. By the time they hit middle school, for most of these children, the issues will be addressed. The resources will...
If they get this services.
If they get the services.
In elementary school.
Yeah.
If we get them now, then they won't even need them in the elementary school.
That's
sometimes.
Correct.
Sometimes that's happened where I've
a lot of times that
toddlers
helps.
out of
and they get into services. Kindergarten and they're like, oh, why did you have? They don't even understand why you had resources. A lot of times, why did you have to do this? I mean, I don't see any residual or anything going
Isn't
on
that
here.
The best?
I know.
Oh, I love it when that happens.
Yeah.
Or like when the parents are like, he won't stop talking.
I tell parents that, you're like, they're not talking. And then you get the resources and this language starts coming and developing and the speech is just flourishing. Yeah. And then you're like, they never stop talking. And, that's the other end of the spectrum there, from not talking to never stop talking. Yeah. You'd rather have than not stop, than never stop talking.
Because then they'll be prepared for school and future success.
And socially, they benefit from it. I mean, right now when you have a child who cannot talk or has delayed speech, they cannot have the social interaction and connection and friendships.
Right.
So as a parent, I can't stress this enough. You have got to be the advocate for your child. You have got to get into whatever resources you can. You need to be really an advocate with your pediatrician, and if your pediatrician isn't really helpful, then look up a specialist in developmental pediatrics in your area. There are not a whole lot of them in every area, but they will make sure that you get the proper resources for your child and get you connected with the proper resources.
And of course, speech.
Advocate. And it starts with
the
speech.
side.
It starts with speech. That's the first and foremost important thing. Once we get speech going, then we can start to really look at more of the root of things that are going on with their development. And, you know, by kindergarten, it's almost non-existent. You know, it's, I can't express this enough. I really, really can't. And I'm not the only one. There are other directors out there and teachers out there that are seeing the exact same thing. And because, and in fact, a lot of teachers are leaving the field because it's been so overwhelming, the number of children coming in with these issues.
Oh, no way.
Yes, that's why we're losing a lot. That's why we're losing a lot of teachers. There's
in
the element and the preschool environment and the
like 2 to 4.
Because it's just been overwhelming, the demands on us and trying to navigate every single day with a child who doesn't mean to be disruptive. It doesn't mean to have behavioral issues, but doesn't have the proper tools to communicate.
Yeah. And you can't, there's only so much you can do when you've got 20 children. I mean, that's not even that many children. No. Do you have 20? Is it 15?
In this classroom, there are 14, but there are 3 teachers. And even with 3 teachers, it's still very overwhelming.
3
when
teachers
you have
with
1
14
child,
children.
or 2 children, or 3 children
and
that have
they're still
behavioral issues and language development.
And then the other little ones you're saying about
start mimicking it. They'll mimic that behavior.
Explain.
So what happens is we have children that don't have any delays whatsoever, speech, behavioral, but they'll see the behavior of the child that is experiencing difficulty, and they'll start mimicking it, and they'll start using the same practices and engage in the same type of play that they're engaging in. So it's
Do you think it's like they're just like, hey, I'm getting attention kind of thing, or?
No, I just think I don't know why they do what they do, but they're doing it.
Oh, wait. Okay.